I'm Michelle Fields for PJTV, and I'm joined today by Patrick Poole, who is a counterterrorism analyst. His reporting has led to the dismissal of a Department of Homeland Security advisor. Thanks so much for joining me.
Thanks.
So tell me a little bit, some background on this advisor. Who is this advisor and what exactly happened?
Mohammed al-Awlaki has been a member of the Homeland Security Advisory Council since October 2010. Here last year, he was appointed to a senior fellow position with the Council, and he's been billed as one of the U.S. government's de-radicalization experts, even though there's no evidence that he's actually de-radicalized anybody. And at the time that he was appointed, I had reported that he had spoke at a conference in 2005 honoring the Ayatollah Khomeini. He had made extremist statements, as reported by the Dallas Morning News. His mentor, Shukri Abu Bakr, is currently in prison for the rest of his life for financing Hamas. He took a 3-week tour in Saudi Arabia at the expense of King Abdullah. I mean, there's just a long list of problematic issues.
I know that some of his tweets and some of the things he said is actually used by ISIS to
absolutely, and it appears that Twitter ended up being his downfall, oddly enough, because it kind of gave the world unfiltered access. You know, it wasn't filtered by Department of Homeland Security public affairs, and you know, he was making all kinds of statement about the rise of the caliphate, which was the tweet that ISIS retweeted and promoted as, you know, well, even a Homeland Security advisor saying that the caliphate's inevitable, saying that the United States is an Islamic country and Sharia compliant.
But how does someone like this end up as an advisor to the Department of Homeland Security? Well, I mean, there must have been, I hope, a rigorous background check, and something like that you'd expect would come up.
Well, again, this was the information I presented and reported on at the time that he was appointed to this advisory council. It was open record. I mean, I wasn't delving into super secret stuff, and it really raises the question of what exactly was happening at Homeland Security that they gave this guy a pass. Of course, the United States government, going back all the way to the Clinton administration, has this bad habit of bringing in bad characters, in some cases giving them security clearances, guys like Abdurrahman al-Amoudi, who's the al-Qaeda financier, who's currently in federal prison, al-Awlaki, the al-Qaeda cleric who we droned to death here several years ago. We know that he was teaching on Islam inside the Pentagon in the executive dining room a couple weeks after 9/11, after 3 of his disciples flew an airplane into the building, and he was under active FBI surveillance. So the United States government has a severe problem of vetting these so-called moderate Islamists inside the government, guys like Mohammed Majid, Mohammed al-Awlaki, Dalia Magahed, who all have made extremely problematic statements, and I think myself and a lot of people would say they're not really representative of the American Muslim community. These guys are extremists, and here the U.S. government is giving them official status. And when we were recently in Egypt, we had a number of Egyptians, you know, devout Muslims, who were just astounded that the U.S. government would continue to bring in these Muslim Brotherhood-linked officials, leaders of these organizations, as the entire Muslim world is throwing off the Muslim Brotherhood, whether it's Egypt or Tunisia, etc. And so they raise real questions about it.
There are allegations that he perhaps disclose important documents.
Allegations I reported at PJ Media.
Yes. What ended up happening with that? They claim that they did a thorough investigation. They found nothing, but is that true?
Well, it's absolutely false. And in fact, members of Congress began inquiring into it. I reported that he had accessed information from the Texas Department of Public Safety, who he was also on the advisory council board of, off the Homeland Security system, and began shopping that around during the 2012 election when Rick Perry was one of the front runners, and to claim that Rick Perry was an Islamophobe and running, you know, this Islamophobic Department of Public Safety. So when I reported that, Homeland Security shut down completely. That's the time at which, a couple days afterwards, he flew to Saudi Arabia for 3 weeks, at the expense of King Abdullah. And they refused to address the allegations. When I contacted Homeland Security, they refused to give me any comment. Mohammed Ali Biari refused comment even before my article went into publication. So fast forward, when Congress begins asking about it, Janet Napolitano says, "Oh, these allegations are false." Of course, at no time had they ever contacted me. They had never contacted my source.
But you were sued.
That was by another individual. But with Eli Biari, we found Judicial Watch filed a FOIA for these documents related to this so-called investigation, and Homeland Security sent back a letter saying that we found no records responsive to your request. No emails, not a single document, not a single email. And then Congressman Gomert here recently got a letter from the Department of Homeland Security saying that, yeah, we did a thorough investigation, which of course they have no record of.
There's no paper trail. Doesn't sound sketchy at all.
But they informed him that Eli Biari was not going to be reappointed to his senior fellow position and he would be moving on, which I think we pretty much speculate that he was given the left foot of fellowship.
Well, good. I mean, that's great to hear. It's unfortunate that he was there to begin with. But thank you so much for your reporting and for coming here and talking about this. I appreciate it.
Thanks.
For PJ TV, I'm Michelle Fields. Thanks so much for watching.